Welcome to Health 2660. Here we don't just talk about health, we tell the stories that heal. Now please listen to the story. Arthur Penhaligon, a man whose face was a roadmap of wrinkles, etched by 93 years of laughter sorrow, and countless sunrises held an apple. Not just any apple. This was a Honeycrisp, a symphony of crimson and gold, crisp to the touch, its aroma a promise of autumnal orchards and simpler times. Arthur adored apples. He'd eaten at least one a day, sometimes two, for as long as he could remember. They were more than just a fruit. They were a connection to his past, a symbol of enduring vitality, and he secretly suspected the very reason he was still around to nag his great-grandchildren. His doctor, a bright young woman named Dr. Anya Sharma, always chuckled when Arthur mentioned his apple-a-day regimen. "Well, Arthur," she'd say, her eyes twinkling behind her glasses, "it certainly seems to be working for you. But let's talk about apples and senior health in a bit more detail, shall we? There are definitely benefits, but also some things to keep in mind." Arthur's love affair with apples began in his childhood on his family's small farm in rural Vermont. His grandfather, a taciturn man with hands as rough as bark, taught him how to identify the best trees, how to prune the branches for maximum yield, and how to pick the fruit at the peak of ripeness. The scent of apple blossoms in spring was his first memory, and the taste of freshly pressed cider in the fall was a defining joy. Apples weren't just food. They were woven into the fabric of his life, a comforting constant in a world of change. His wife Eleanor, who had passed away 15 years prior, used to bake the most incredible apple pies. The recipe was a closely guarded family secret passed down through generations, and Arthur could still taste the warmth and cinnamon-infused sweetness of her creations. He missed her terribly, especially during apple season. So, Dr. Sharma. Arthur began during one of his routine checkups after she'd finished listening to his heart and prodding his surprisingly resilient stomach. "Tell me straight, are these apples actually doing me any good? Or am I just being a stubborn old fool clinging to a nostalgic habit?" Dr. Sharma smiled. "Arthur, you're far from a fool. And yes, apples do offer some significant health benefits, especially for seniors. Let's start with the fiber. As we age, our digestive systems tend to slow down, and constipation can become a real issue. Apples are packed with both soluble and insoluble fiber. Soluble fiber helps regulate blood sugar levels and lowers cholesterol, while insoluble fiber adds bulk to the stool, promoting regularity and preventing constipation. That's a definite win-win, wouldn't you say? Arthur nodded, remembering the days when he'd suffered from bouts of, shall we say, unpleasant digestive issues. The apples, he realized, had probably been helping more than he'd realized. And then there are the antioxidants. Dr. Sharma continued, "Apples are rich in antioxidants, like quercetin catechin and chlorogenic acid. These compounds help protect your cells from damage caused by free radicals, which are unstable molecules that contribute to aging and the development of chronic diseases like heart disease, cancer, and Alzheimer's. Think of antioxidants as tiny superheroes fighting off the villains that are trying to break down your body." Arthur chuckled. "Superheroes, eh? I like that. Maybe I should start wearing an apple costume." "I wouldn't advise that," Dr. Sharma said, laughing. "But the point is, the antioxidants in apples can help keep you healthy and strong. They also have anti-inflammatory properties, which can ease the symptoms of arthritis and other inflammatory conditions, something that affects many seniors." Arthur considered this. He did have a touch of arthritis in his knees, and he'd noticed it seemed to bother him less when he was regularly eating apples. There's also some evidence suggesting that apples may help improve cognitive function, Dr. Sharma added. Studies have shown that the antioxidants in apples can protect brain cells from damage and improve memory and focus. That's particularly important as we get older and become more susceptible to cognitive decline. Arthur stroked his chin thoughtfully. He'd always prided himself on his sharp mind, and he certainly didn't want to lose it, so they're good for the brain, too. That's impressive. Indeed, Dr. Sharma said. And let's not forget about oral health. Eating apples stimulates saliva production, which helps neutralize acids in the mouth and wash away food particles, reducing the risk of tooth decay and gum disease. Chewing also strengthens your jaw muscles. Of course, you still need to brush and floss regularly, but apples can certainly contribute to good oral hygiene. Arthur's dentures clicked as he grinned. He'd always taken good care of his teeth, real or not. All right. I'm convinced. Apples are the elixir of youth. Dr. Sharma's smile softened. They're certainly beneficial, Arthur, but there are also some potential drawbacks to be aware of, especially for seniors. It's all about moderation and making informed choices. Arthur's brow furrowed slightly. Drawbacks? What drawbacks could there possibly be to eating an apple? Well, first and foremost, there's the sugar content, Dr. Sharma explained. Apples contain natural sugars, primarily fructose. While natural sugars are generally healthier than refined sugars, they can still raise blood sugar levels, which is a concern for people with diabetes or those at risk of developing the condition. It's important to monitor your blood sugar levels and adjust your apple consumption accordingly. For some, half an apple at a time might be a better serving size. Arthur, who had a family history of diabetes, felt a prickle of concern. He'd always assumed that natural sugars were harmless. So I shouldn't be eating 2 a day then? Perhaps not, Dr. Sharma said gently. 1 a day is likely fine, and perhaps even beneficial, given all the other advantages. But it depends on your individual health and your overall diet. We can monitor your blood sugar levels more closely to see how apples are affecting you. It also depends on the type of apple. Some varieties are lower in sugar than others. Granny Smiths, for example, tend to have less sugar than Honeycrisps or Gallus. Arthur made a mental note to switch to Granny Smiths at least some of the time. Another potential issue is the acidity of apples. Dr. Sharma continued. The acid in apples can erode tooth enamel over time, particularly if you're snacking on them throughout the day. It's best to eat apples as part of a meal, rather than between meals, and to rinse your mouth with water afterward to neutralize the acid. This is especially important for seniors who may already have thinning enamel. Arthur thought about all the times he'd munched on an apple while watching television or reading a book. He'd never considered the potential damage to his teeth. And finally, there's the risk of choking, Dr. Sharma said. As we age, our chewing and swallowing abilities may decline, making it harder to safely consume raw fruits and vegetables. It's important to cut apples into small, manageable pieces, or to cook them until they're soft and easier to chew. Applesauce is an excellent option for seniors who have difficulty swallowing. Arthur remembered a close call a few years back when a piece of apple had gotten lodged in his throat. It had been a frightening experience, and he'd been more careful ever since. So, to summarize, Dr. Sharma said, apples can be a healthy and nutritious addition to a senior's diet, providing fiber, antioxidants, and other beneficial compounds. However, it's important to be mindful of the sugar content, acidity, and choking hazards. Moderation, careful preparation, and regular dental checkups are key. Arthur sat back in his chair, absorbing all the information. He realized that his beloved apples weren't a magic bullet, but rather a valuable part of a balanced and healthy lifestyle. He would continue to enjoy them, but he would do so with greater awareness and caution. "Thank you, Dr. Sharma," he said. "I appreciate your honesty and your advice. I'll try to be a more responsible apple eater from now on." Dr. Sharma smiled. "That's all I ask, Arthur. Now tell me about Eleanor's apple pie recipe. I've heard it's legendary." Arthur's eyes lit up. He was always happy to talk about Eleanor and her incredible baking skills. He launched into a detailed description of the recipe, recalling every ingredient, every step, every secret. As he spoke, he felt a wave of warmth and nostalgia wash over him. Apples, he knew, would always be a part of his life, a reminder of his past, a source of comfort and joy, and hopefully a contributor to his continued good health. The conversation turned to the subtle differences between Northern Spy and Macintosh apples when used for pie making. He was a firm believer that Northern Spies held their shape better, but Eleanor had always favored Macintosh for their sweeter, more delicate flavor. He recounted their yearly arguments, always good-natured, always ending with a pie that was devoured in minutes. Later that day, Arthur visited the local farmer's market, a vibrant tapestry of colors, smells, and sounds. He carefully selected a bag of Granny Smith apples, their green skins gleaming in the afternoon sun. He also picked up a jar of local honey, knowing that a drizzle of honey on a slice of apple could elevate the flavor to another level. As he walked home, he passed by the town's senior center. He noticed a group of people sitting outside chatting and laughing. An idea sparked in his mind. He decided to organize an apple-tasting event at the center where seniors could sample different varieties of apples, learn about their nutritional benefits, and share their own apple-related memories and recipes. The event was a resounding success. Arthur, with his infectious enthusiasm and encyclopedic knowledge of apples, was the star of the show. He shared stories about his childhood, his wife, and his lifelong love affair with the fruit. He demonstrated how to properly cut an apple, how to identify the different varieties, and how to make a simple applesauce. He even shared Eleanor's apple pie recipe, with the caveat that it was a closely guarded family secret. The seniors at the center were delighted. They sampled different types of apples, shared their own stories, and learned a great deal about the health benefits of apples. They also enjoyed a slice of Arthur's homemade apple pie, which was, of course, a huge hit. Arthur felt a sense of fulfillment and purpose. He had not only shared his love of apples with others, but had also helped them to understand the importance of healthy eating and active living. He realized that his own longevity wasn't just about eating apples. It was about staying connected to his community, sharing his knowledge and experiences, and finding joy in the simple things in life. In the following months, Arthur became a regular fixture at the senior center. He organized more apple-related events, including apple-picking trips, apple cider making workshops, and even an apple-themed art class. He also started a weekly walking group, encouraging seniors to get out and enjoy the fresh air and sunshine. He became known as the Apple Man. Health 2660 thanks you for listening. We'll see you in the next video, and until then, be kind to yourself.